Okay, it looks like I'm live now. So anyway, here we go. So these pictures, I used the snipping tool to crop them from the rulebook. I kind of did it with taking like a really looking at the name and trying to avoid my focus on the card text. So I haven't really read what these cards do, and it's odd because in the rulebook the text is very clear, but the picture is not. The picture is super grainy. It's going to be really ugly. Apologize for that. We're going to have to wait for the high-res photos that people hopefully show off when the set finally hits the shelves and we can all get some action in our hands, right? So anyway, I'm going to start. I'm only going to be looking at the new cards. Very clear. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I'm only going to be looking at the new cards because I don't really feel like reviewing the old ones, and they're honestly a bit too crazy, like castles. What am I going to say about castles? That's I don't know. It's too much. Whatever. It'll be hopefully a bit simpler to go for some of the new cards. I took a glance at the rulebook, the actual rules. I didn't see anything that's new that wasn't already revealed in the previews. So anyway, here we go. Archive. +1 action. Set aside the top 3 cards of your deck face down. You may look at them now, and at the start of your next 2 turns, put one to your hand. Okay, so it's a duration that lasts 3 turns, right? So you set aside the top 3 cards. You draw one of them. So the first turn it's a cantrip. And then the second turn it's a selective lab. And the third turn it's another selective lab. Except you actually have to have a deck, which you usually do. And all those cards are going to be missing the shuffle a lot. They're going to be playing them pretty slowly. So if you took a key card, it's going to be pretty delayed. But if you just need to have like a solid amount of turns, maybe you need an extra treasure each turn. Maybe you just need an extra combo piece. I don't know. If you need to add reliability to the deck, this sounds really good. If you're just looking to play some power cards, slows you down a bit and it costs 5. But definitely very good for smoothing. I find it fits a similar cartographer kind of niche. Not necessarily a niche, but it's a solid card. Let's move on. Here we are with Charm. Okay. 5 cost treasure, mysterious amount of money. So when you play this, choose one. Plus buy and +2. That image is not so good here. So +1 buy and +2. Or the next time you buy a card this turn, you may also gain a differently named card with the same cost. Okay, so you can either use that as like a fancy what is it, stonemason or a talisman, or you can just use it as a silver plus, right? I like silver plus. Sometimes when you're going for provinces, you want silver plus, but anytime in the mid game, you know, you want different kinds of actions. It seems pretty neat. It has this nice synergy with the prince, right, or peddler, right? You buy a province. You choose the second option. You lose the +2, but you get your province and your prince, and that sounds really good. In a kind of it makes prince less slow. I don't know. It feels like a nice little card. It's always a silver plus, and it could be used as kind of like a poor man's talisman or a rich man's talisman if you get to the 6 or 7 costs. If you get to the 5 costs, that's brilliant because you always want multiple different 5 costs. It's always, do I want this 5 cost or this 5 cost, or well, charm. But if you need to do that consistently, if you need to consistently buy, let's say, bazaar and rabble, well, this is going to be good to get early. If you have some trashing, I don't know. Seems okay. Maybe it seems a bit slow that it costs 5. I don't know. Encampment. So this is a split pile. This is the first of a split pile. After this, I think it's plunder. So +2 cards, +2 actions. You may reveal a gold or plunder from your hand. If you do not, set this aside and return it to the supply at the start of cleanup. Okay. at the start of cleanup. So it's a one shot plus 2 cards plus 2 actions. Reminds, I think, maybe Last Footnote had something like this, Jubilee, or I don't know if I remember if it drew. But this is stays on your deck if you have golds or plunders, which I like that it plunders the bottom 5 cards of this pile, which it's gonna get hard to do that with all these encampments, so you have to keep buying them a lot. But gold, you know, it's always not enough incentive to have gold, but this gives you a good incentive to have gold, and it helps you, and you draw first. I like that. It makes gold better. And I think in Empires there's going to be more ways to get gold. I remember it seems like a good boost. I mean, certainly for 2, you can use this on the 5/2, and kind of like an embargo, get that additional bonus. But here the bonus is probably better. Plus 2 cards, maybe plus better than plus 2 coins for cycling early on with the actions. This is going to be a very interesting, a very tactical card. Unless you really pile drive them, then you just get your single plunder, and then you just keep your encampments, and then it's a well-activated city. There's the plunder. It's a 5 for a silver plus. And in the rulebook it said the +1 means that you're getting a coin token every time you play this. So this is actually a non-terminal monument, this thing. And now looking back at, I should have shown both of these cards at the same time, sorry. Now looking back, it looks like the encampments are actually getting in the way of getting the plunders. The plunder is actually a desirable card, just for the non-terminal VP, and these returning themselves is going to make it harder to get the plunders. So you really want to like have a turn where you could pile drive these, get 1 plunder, maybe with your horn up. No, it doesn't work. But you get one of these. You get these, and then you don't have to discard these as return these back as often. You could get more plunders, and you do kind of like an endless VP thing if you want. Great with crown and counterfeit. Maybe not counterfeit, but good crown. Okay. Engineer. Hey, that's cool. I like that name. Gain a card cost. It's a depth 4. Sorry about that. I just wanted to check that the stream was working. So it's depth 4. Gain a card costing up to 4. You may trash this if you do gain a card costing up to 4. Yeah, that's something, right? Like kind of like mini feast, or what is it? Redistrict from Last Footnote's expansion. Sort of like to be both cost 4, and the price is really unique. You could get this for cheap, and if you have debt, you could still use this card's ability. So if you want lots of 4s, but because of the debt, you're not really giving up a 4. Oh, you may trash it, so you could just always use it as a workshop. I missed that part. Sorry. No, it's not like a double feast. You can use it as a extra feast, but you can just use it as a workshop for debt. It's really good for, regardless of what kind of split. You can get this on like a 5/2 and get 2 debt, but you start. You don't miss out on getting actions while you're playing your 5 card. Sorry, I think of things like 5 drops and slow because of Hearthstone these days. It's kind of starting to permeate, I've noticed, but your 5 cost card is still like a big bomb if you're going to open with it usually. So in the late game, you always get this set. I don't know about the late game. Forum, like FDS. They should just call this like Forum Dominion or some Dominion's Forum or something, some kind of, maybe not, but whatever. Okay. +3 cards, +1 action, discard 2 cards. We've seen this on Warehouse, except minus. So it's actually like the cantrip version of Warehouse, the version that all the bots wish they had, if they could wish for stuff. And when you buy this, +1 buy. That's an interesting effect because So it costs 5. But if you get this, let's say you have 10 in one buy, you can split this up and get this along with something else, which is, and you could keep doing that. So if you get like 20, you could buy 3 of these in a 5 cost, and that's really good because this is an excellent support card, and that means that an engine that could produce, let's say, 8 or 12 or something consistently or early on, even if the board doesn't have any plus buy, it's still worth doing because you have forum now. Because if you have any excess money, you can just push them on more forums and make your engine even more reliable. And you can definitely, it definitely strengthens the one province turn engines. And that's quite a nice little bonus effect. It's kind of like the it's kind of like the Mandarin, but for engines, right? It makes them something to do to kind of give that a little extra boost. For something that's already hopefully going to be strong if you're going for it. So yeah, Legionary. Yeah, you can see the artist. Yeah. Okay, plus $3. You may reveal a gold from your hand. If you do, each other player discards down to 2 cards in hand, then draws a card. Oh, it's the reverse Margrave. And plus 3, and you may reveal a gold, so you have to have a gold to get this effect. There's this nice benefit to getting gold in this expansion. You may reveal. So okay, I was checking the stream again. I'm getting paranoid here. So how do we deal with this card? You can get this for 5, and it's like a gold because it gives you plus 3. So you get this on 5. Hopefully, like later on, maybe you're I don't know, you're trashing lightly with like Forager or something, and you play this and you hope to spike a gold. And once your deck gets small enough, you start revealing this with gold and doing some nasty attacks. It's nice payload. Probably just better as like payload. You get like 1 gold, you get 1 of these, and then in your engine every turn, you play this. You discard, make them discard down, then they discard, draw a card, and they're probably doing the same thing to you. So maybe it's very powerful against engines. If you're going up against big money, you're just gonna crush it with this eventually, I think. It has potential to be quite nasty, but you have to have some finesse with it. You really need to know if you want that gold on 6, which helps you buy this, right? It helps you buy 5s, doesn't do much, but and getting this without trashing is not so great. Think of it like I guess you could think of it like tournament, more in the middle. So yeah, think of this how you would think tournament. Get which one in which order. This helps you get gold. Not much else to say about this card. Pretty fierce, I'd say. Overlord. Debt 8. So you just get this for free if you want and get 8 debt. Play this as if it were an action card in the supply costing up to 5. This is that card until it leaves play. Okay, so Band of Misfits, Super Band of Misfits, which can play Band of Misfits to get extra tokens. Okay, whatever. I think I saw that on the forum somewhere. It seems really good, honestly, guys. Like, if you could somehow get around this, if you can like afford this debt, and on the right board where there's just like so many 5s, and you got a lot of 5s, you know, you got your like festivals, your rabbles, your I don't know what your other 5s, your other payload cards, but you don't draw them in the right order. Well, this will make sure that you help get helps. So it's basically Band of Misfits if your engine's relying on 5 cost cards, and it's going to be really strong. And if it's just like an attack you need, if you just need to play some extra mountebanks, it's going to do that for you. If you draw it, so if you draw it at the end of your turn, you use it as like a payload. If you draw it at the beginning of your turn, you use it as like a draw card. It's really flexible. With just fairy on, let's say a 7 cost, you can start playing that as a 5 cost, which you can't do with Band of Misfits. So if you want to play that King's Court, Overlord King's Court, you can. I don't know how often that's going to come up, but yeah, I don't know how to deal with debt. I don't know how, if you should just buy these things for like 0 ever. Maybe but maybe buying this on 5. I mean, you spend 5 on this, and you get like Band of Misfits, a better Band of Misfits, but you have to lose -3. That sounds quite effective if you know what you're doing. Crazy. Patrician. I think this is another split pile card. Yeah. Okay, these two go together. This Patrician and this Emporium. So this is the first 5, and then this is the other 5. So let's look at Patrician. +1 card, +1 action. Reveal the top card of your deck. If it costs 5 or more, put it in your hand. +1 card, +1 action, +1. When you gain this, if you have at least 5 action cards to play, +2. +2, that's like, so you, like double monument. Okay, so this card, what does this remind me of? A reverse vagrant. Yes, this is reverse vagrant for the same cost. Get your good, make sure you get your good cards. It's always going to be good to get it. If you let's say you have just 2, you're gonna buy this, and it actually kind of gets better in late game when you have provinces. I mean, so does Vagrant, but you know, it's like not as of the Sage problem where it just gets worse when you start getting more useless high cards. Because it's that or nothing, right? So yeah, early game and early game it's limited, so which just makes it a balanced card. And then this Peddler, which costs 5 when synergizes with our Patrician here. It has this extra conspirator level, which is nuts. Like, you start getting these, you start getting that. With all your Patricians, your engine is going to be so reliable. You're just going to be playing these forever, and you're just like never going to want to end the game. Well, you will, because it gives you a coin, I guess. But it's this. You have to you have to draw it in the right order. But if your engines are already reliable, and we're playing a lot of durations, especially, you know, those haunted woods and whatever, those count. Durations count. Or you just have, let's say, your hirelings. If you have like a bunch of a hireling or 2, it's going to be a lot easier to activate this. Yeah, this is pretty nuts. But the game, this is assuming the game is there's ways to stall the game. I guess at some point the provinces are going to run out, so you can't be like spinning wheels. But it's a nice bonus if you had. Probably what it's going to come down to is the Patrician has to be good in your deck anyway because of your other 5 costs. So Patrician has to be good enough that you can justify getting like 3 to 5 of them, and then you get this extra market peddler thing. When the other 5s, you don't need any more of those. You get a few extra points, eke out a win. Maybe it's more balanced, like that. Definitely interesting. And I like the theme of this expansion. The whole Roman Empires thing. It's cool. Sacrifice. Treasure card from your hand. If it's an action card, +2 cards, +2 actions. Treasure card, +2. Victory card, +2. So it costs 4. So the victory card option is a lot like Bishop. I mean, if you trash this an estate, it's exactly like Bishop, except you don't get the +1. So it's not exactly like Bishop. And if you trash a copper, again, it's just like Bishop without the VP. So these two are just worse than what Bishop will do for you in general, right? No, this is better than Bishop, right? Because then it's an extra 1, where Bishop gives you 1, this gives you 2, so it's better. This is better than Bishop is. No, it's the same as Bishop. You get 2 for trashing the state, and while losing the state. But then there's the action part. +2 cards, +2 actions. So that's turns any action into what's it called, activated city at the cost of this. So in the end, when you factor in the cost of using this in your hand, if you assume this was a cantrip, then you turn that other card into a village. right? Yeah, you turn another card into... it's like this is a cantrip and you turn the other card into a village. Yeah, and that could be good in the late game. So it's a trasher, and then in the late game you have some... absolutely need that reliability. You have it with sacrifice, and it helps you trash in the early game. Maybe not as good as bishop, but you're not helping your opponent, right? You're not helping your opponent trash, so it's on par with bishop, definitely. Maybe even better in the early game. Even if it's a little bit slow, but it's okay. It's okay for if you really need the trashing. It's there for you, and in the late game, it's not useless because of this nice cannibalistic effect. I'm taking a long time with these cards, but I have a lot of thoughts with these, I suppose. More situational, I feel this card. You want to be smarter about it. Wild Hunt, yes, this looks awesome. Choose one, plus 3 cards and add 1 to the Wild Hunt. Okay, so it's a 5-cost action gathering. So choose one, plus 3 cards and add 1 to the Wild Hunt supply pile, or gain an estate, and if you do, take the money from the supply, the victory point from the pile. So the Wild Hunt... so the first effect is Smithy for 5. And with some VP attached, but you're not guaranteed. You can't make. You have to make sure your opponent doesn't get this. And there's this nice estate thing to make sure that game eventually ends. I know the cards with Empire also Dominate had that effect where you have to gain a province to get the VP, and I think Triumph has. If you want to get that amount of VP per. Well, I forgot what Triumph does, but you have to gain an estate and you get some amount of VP for it, I think. That's an aspect. So yeah, if this is your engine, that means that this is plus 3 cards plus 1 victory point minus the last one. The last Wild Hunt you use to just collect. No, so it's basically a Smithy, and then the last one gives you is like a super monument that doesn't give you coins. It seems fairly balanced. If you're playing this with, let's say, what is it, Throne Room or something, then it becomes a lot more interesting. A lot of times with the Throne Rooms, you overdraw if you play it on your draw cards. If you play like King's Core on your Smithy, it's okay, you drew your deck. But here, you're going to draw your deck anyway. But here, it's always beneficial to triple up on, let's double or triple up on your Wild Hunts, no matter what. No matter if you've already drawn your deck already, because you're going to get this VP, and you just take it, so it's extra source of VP. Yeah, so Smithy Plus, I think it's worthy of Smithy Plus. I assume in games that are not so heavy on the other landmarks, the VP is going to matter here. It typically does. VP always matters when it doesn't add. VP tokens always matter. All the VP tokens we've had so far are good, so I can't imagine the ones in Empires not being relevant. Okay, so we're getting to the events now. Here's Advance. Yeah, so the Advance is written very nice. The event is blurred. So, I've only noticed the chat now. I haven't even been looking at the chat, so I guess guys seem to be chatting away there. Okay, so Advance. You may trash an action card from your hand. If you do, gain an action costing up to 6. So you have to have... Okay, so that costs 0. So it means if I open Swindler, and then I have 2 Swindlers in hand, I can always play this Swindler, and then buy this for 0, turn the other Swindler into something major. That sounds... I feel like this makes double terminal openings a lot better, because you have that out, right? You have that thing you can always do where you just turn that other action card into like a major 6 or a 5 even. And if not, well, you're playing that power terminal like on 2 different turns 3 and 4. So yeah, that's the first thing that comes to mind. Naturally, you can always just like buy a bunch of 2 costs. like your pearl divers, and then on the you get a big turn. You get a bunch of buys from your plus buy token that. Remember, everyone, you say, oh, you don't need that many buys. Well, this is no limit on how many you could buy. Yeah, you want those buys because you could turn, let's say, 5 pearl divers into 5 nobles, I don't know, and just empty the game, right? Or just get a huge, massive, awesome action cards, and the next turn you win with your explosive engine, something like that. So it has potential in the really late game if your engine is already really good and redundant, or let's say we do some tricks. And in the early game, you can also do some tricks. It makes your it makes opening double term, like the fact that it makes opening double terminal like less damaging is already like so major. Like, be careful, watch out for this one, I would say. Annex, yeah, okay. So it's 8 debt, so you can just buy this for 0, take 8 debt, or you can buy it for 4 debt, or just buy it for 8. Is it worth 8? Look through your discard pile, shuffle all but up to 5 cards from it into your deck, gain a duchy. So it's like an in on demand, but you have to do it for all the cards. But I mean, if you only, let's say you have 5 provinces, you have like 5 somethings, like 5 victory cards, and everything else is either treasure or draw, that's good. If you're not actually looking to buy the provinces, let's say if you're on your last turn, like you have something weird that's gone on, and like you have a bad shuffle, or you triggered a bad shuffle, and you need that last turn to clear out, let's say, the provinces, or you need to end the game somehow, empty the piles. You use this for debt, and the next turn, even if you're not buying something, maybe you just like stonemason like crazy. You get your helps. You just end the game without even having to buy anything, so you don't even care about the debt. So it's like a last, like you use it as like a last turn play to make to really seal the game if you have the lead. Or you can use it if you're really like desperate to clear out get some cards from your display part into your hand. Let's say you have a combo or something, or you just bought, you just got like your teacher activated, or you just bought like, say, an adventure like Lost Arts or something really major like pathfinding, and you want to put the stuff that you put the token on back into your deck right away. There are a bunch of situations where you might want just a load of good cards, similar to In. That's similar cost to In, I would say. You just buy it for 0, but the next turn you have to. So it's like mission, I guess. Like your next turn becomes like maybe like a mission turn, but it's going to be a really good turn, hopefully. Banquet 3, gain 2 coppers and a non-victory card costing up to 5. So it's like cash, but like I guess it's better than cash. Like, look at this. You're gaining. Well, okay, cash is a gold, which is technically costs more than the 5, but like this is like power creeping cash here, cash. I would say. Obviously the coppers are not going to be too good unless you're like doing like you have your mercenary and you need like junk, but even then you need to have some sort of reliability on your opening hand, so maybe you need some durations or something. But it's still the opening split, it changes it dramatically. If you have a 3-4, you can open 2 5s and get a bunch of copper. And if you need the copper, let's say for what is it, fountain, right? You get like points if you have 10 coppers, or like gardens or something. Kind of ridiculous with gardens, actually, if the 5 is a gardens enabler. And no limit on how many of these you could buy. So if you need to pile out a 5 cost, you buy these 3s instead. You gotta be smart about these coppers. You need to wait. You need to make sure you can deal with them. Otherwise, it's kind of like what is it, Death Cart, and Death Cart is kind of problematic at a lot of the times, even though Death Card itself gives you 5. So it's a bit cheaper than Death Card, but like really, Death Card is really troubling if you don't have a way of dealing with the extra cards, or unless you're doing a slog. And if it's a slog or something, this is great. So this is really more specific scenarios. You need the coppers can't be too bad for your deck for this to be good, but it's still interesting with just out you can get 5s for 3 unbounded on a turn, only bounded by your buys and your money. Conquest. Oh, and I apologize if I missed one of the cards. I don't think I did, but if I miss one, I don't know. Anyway, Conquest. 6 event. Gain 2 silvers. Oh, I think Septrix is going to hate this card. It's even worse than... Is going to be better than Raid? No. Oh, +1 per silver you've gained this turn. Okay, so it's at least +2. So it's like nobles, kind of like... It's kind of like nobles, but you gain 2 silvers instead of like... Smithy Necropolis. You can buy a lot of these to get a lot of points, but if you've played what was it, Treasure Hunter, and you got like a whole bunch of silvers and you buy this, it's good. I find this is really a needed boost. Like if we're thinking of like card games, this is like a needed boost to all those like flood cards like Masterpiece and Trader and stuff, and it makes silver a bit cool again, because you know per silver you've gained this turn, it has to be you have to have gained it, so it's tricky. But in itself, it's 2 silvers and 2 coins. I mean 2 victory points. I don't know. Again, if this is another like just like the Banquet, this is going to be more specific. You're going to be more careful with how you use this card. Obviously, if you have a way of dealing with the silvers, it's like kind of like, let's say, catapult something. You're gonna do something useful with these silvers, or you're gonna use counterfeit on them. You want these for fuel for for like counterfeit or whatever. This is gonna be like win-win. It's more situational, and it costs 6. There's gonna be some games where this is gonna be relevant. Delve. So. +1 buy, gain a silver. I don't understand. This event is just basically silver costs 2 in the game, right? Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Makes silver cheaper. It sounds like a variant. I guess that's what an event is, right? It's a variant, but this is like really feels like. Okay. Alms makes silver 0 if you want, but this is always making like it's plus buy, right? So you can. Well, that means that you can, if you have 10 and 1 buy, you can buy a 5 silver. So not only does it make silver cheaper, it makes it free in terms of a buy. Wow. Okay. That's some love for silver. Gold. Gold already has a synergies. Here it's just like, well, we didn't put any synergies for silver except maybe a few cards like Conquest here. So let's just give you a whole bunch of silver, right? You get your 100, you get buy your delves, I don't know, a combo with Conquest, or just get all the combo with Feodum, just get pile out those silvers, I don't know. It's just kind of like, it's like secretly insane. Like it looks so simple, but it's secretly like so ridiculous. Like one of the most ridiculous cards I've actually seen at Empires, this thing. Yeah, what is this thing? That makes me happy because I think there needs to be some love for money. I wonder if there's any other silver thing. But yeah, like silver's not a horrible card. Remember like what was it? Jack of all trades gives you silvers, right? If you just need you spike a turn, you have 8 and you buy 4 silvers instead, or you have 7, you buy 3 silvers in a sea hag game. Nah, doesn't sound so good, honestly. But wacky, I'd say. Donate. I think there was like a thread already about like rules questions or something about donate. I don't even know what the card does yet. So it's or like crazy combos you could do with this with Tomb. So let's see what this actually does. So it's debt 8. So you could buy it for anything. After this turn, put all cards from your deck and discard pile into your hand. Okay, this is getting weird. Okay, so put all cards from your deck and discard pile into your hand. Trash any number. Shuffle your hand into your deck. Then draw 5 cards. So you just after this turn, I guess that's after cleanup. So you just trash anything, everything in your deck, absolutely everything you don't want for like for debt 8. So I mean, at debt 8 means it's an equal opportunity thing. So it's like super chapel, right? It's like chapel to the extreme where everyone goes for it anyway, but the game is hopefully better for it because they just trashed. And you can do this more than once, and it doesn't keep the chapel in your deck. So it's just, it creates those chapel games more frequently. Now Empires. Maybe we needed a card like this. Maybe we needed that one. But I really want to do this crazy combo. But I have all these like that one silver I needed to spike 5. That like that horrible like what's it called? Necessary evil. Well, I mean, with this, that's you get more of those kinds of like crazy. I have 10 of this one card, and now I put a coin token on it, and well, yeah, a token on it. Just a game changer. Absolute. If I understand this correctly, it's an absolute game changer, and that's all there is to say. Ritual. So you gain a curse. Okay, by 4, you gain a curse. Okay, this has to be good. Okay, if you do, trash a card from your hand, +1 per 1 in its cost. Yes, that's good. So you replace the card with a curse. It's like a Oh, it's like a sacrifice. I love this theme. You sacrifice your what costs 8? Your prince. I don't know, and you get 8. You got a huge amount of victory points. It could be any card. It could be a province. But you're getting curse. Oh no, so it's not like bishop, right? You always gain the curse unless there's no curses left. But and it's unbounded, so you just keep doing this the entire turn. It's an event, right? So remember, it's an event, so it's not an action. So you have to buy. This has to be at the end of your turn. Yeah, it's not useful on coppers, but on an estate, no, it has no useful effect on an estate. Alright. Unless you trash the curse there. Like, if you have a way of trashing the curse later, or no, you have to gain the curse, right? To get this effect. If you have a way of trashing the curse later, it can be really good, but, you know, judging by the success of, let's say, death card and stuff, I don't know. It feels like something like a fan card, kind of. I like to spin on it. This is a really tricky card to know if it's good, how to use this. Like this one is like really one whose strength I don't have a good way of judging right now, honestly, because you really just downgrade a card just for points. You just trade in your card for points. Could be a good end game play, maybe like farmland. I don't know. Salt the Earth, what a name is this. Okay, so +1, trash a victory card from the supply. Wow. Okay, so you just you bring the game towards conclusion while getting a little bit of points. So 4 for 1. That's weaker than Island or any other 4 thing we've seen, except like Gardens when you have 9 cards, or Feudum when you have nothing. But you don't add anything to your deck, so it's just like your one shot. This is not like anything we've seen before. You know, it's really this trash victory card from the supply effect that matters. So you really, anyone who has a lot of buys has a lot of endgame pile control. So you could, if you have 32 and 8 buys, you just trashed all the provinces if you want. It's specifically a victory card, right? So you're specifically doing this to make the game come to a conclusion. Or the guy's playing Rebuild, and you buy this, and you have 4, and you get rid of the last duchy, and the guy can't upgrade his estates anymore, and he cries, and you win. You know, stuff like that. Seems pretty mean. Is this image? Is she like? Is he or she complicit in the salting of the earth? I don't know. Tax. So it's 2. Add debt to the supply. to a supply pile. Setup: add 1 to each supply pile. When a player buys a card, they take the debt from its pile. So it makes so you're saying this event makes it everything it costs 1 debt. Everything gets an additional 1 debt. It makes the game slows down the game. Literally, the minimum slows down by 1. Is that the same woman as in the here? I don't know. Looks kind of similar. Is it the same artist? Yes, it is the same artist. Maybe it's not such a coincidence. Maybe this person, whoever this is, lives in a really rotten town with these rotten guards that might be the same. Yeah, they even have the same color. Yeah, maybe this is just the same like horrible horrible town. Okay, well, that's enough of that. Okay, and then you buy this, you just make it 1 pile even slower. So it's like embargo, but like actually really doing something. It's so mean. It's like forcing a slog. But it could. I know that it's gonna be some people that like this guy. I'm kind of intrigued by this card. I kind of think it's cool. Yeah, this is another just game changer, pretty much. This adds that embargo element to it. So another spit on embargo, which we want. Why not rehash? Like, why not bring back like a classic that didn't get its time to shine too much. Anyway, wedding. So it's 4 and then 3 dead. So we gain a gold. So okay, so if you buy this for 7, you gain a gold and +1. Sounds like a nice deal if you're playing big money, or in big money. And actually, anything you get like 4, you gain in gold early on. That can matter if you expect to get like 2 4s next turn. Instead, you could turn that into gold nothing instead of like 2 4s. Maybe if you really want that gold, has this nice bonus here. But the gold, if you need it for like legionary or something, yeah. So this card is good if you really want the gold. You buy it for 4, probably not 5, but 4, and take the debt, and you deal with the debt some other turn, and you have a gold that's going to help you buy more, like get rid of this debt and then buy 5s, and combo with the other Empire's cards that want gold. It seems pretty, like, has to be, so again, it's specific, right? The gold has to be good. Okay, aqueduct. When you gain a treasure, move 1. Okay, so this is okay. Now we're at the landmarks. The green stands for landmark. You can't even read it, but the text. I gotta give credit for the rulebook for making the text clear. These are actually zoom-ins of the rulebook. So, aqueduct. When you gain a treasure, move 1 from its pile to this. When you gain a victory card, take. When you gain a victory card, take all the thing from this. So put 8 on the silver and gold piles. So every time, so that means that if people are just buying a lot of treasure, and then they finally buy victory cards, you cash in with your aqueduct. So essentially, okay, but it could be sniped, right? So if you're playing, if it's like a big money mirror, it's gonna be some really funny stuff. Some really funny dancing here. Add 16 total victory points to the game. So, for those that want to like say how much do I need to get half the victory points, well, it adds 16 to that. So divide by 8. So if you normally needed, what was it, 43? You now need like 50, 51, 52. I'm not checking my math there. But anyway. What's a good way to do this card? Yeah, it's on the silvers and gold, so you can't empty out the coppers. But if you have some other way of gaining silvers, let's say trader or something, you trash your province to get 8 silvers, and then you buy an estate, you get a huge amount. So there's obviously combos, but What's interesting, what we want to think about is not the combo situation, just the everyday situation where you have to just buy these. How do you play this if you're just buying these? It's making the other person's victory, like estates and duchies, more valuable, and they can always just snipe it. So if you buy too many of these, so it's really, I'm not sure what to think of it in the regular situation. It's going to be something you really like have to see turn by turn basis, but it actually, I feel like it puts a little bit of disincentive on the silvers, but the golds, you're still going to want the golds, I think. Maybe this is going to be more major when there actually are combos to gain silvers and golds. It's gain, right? So, and it's gain victory. So, maybe also the dual victory cards could be good, right? So, you buy a bunch of treasure and then you buy like a great haul, and then it looks really, but you have to be having a lot of actions and buys, and you're like probably playing an engine then, and why do you want 5 silvers in your engine? I don't know. It's a tricky card. Arena. At the start of your buy phase, you may discard an action card. If you do, take 2 from here. Put 6 here per player. Okay, so again, it makes the like double terminal openings like not as bad, because you can always get some free VP. I guess you can only do this once per turn, so it doesn't really do anything crazy like that other advance, that first event we saw where you like you trade it, like you trash like an action card for a bigger action. There you discard it, so you get to keep the action for later. Later on, you know, when you're building your engine, you're always going to want to keep like one thing. So you keep your trasher in your hand. So you used your chapel, your doctor, for the start of the for a while, and then it stops becoming useful. But then later on, you know, you just discard that chapel every turn to start getting these 2 points. So as it's capped per 6 per player, but you know, it makes those trashers better. It gives you something to do with them later on. So yeah. So it means that you really probably want to have actions. You don't maybe want to get extra cards, even if they're terminals, while this is still around. You maybe want the extra terminals anyway to make sure you're playing a power card every turn, like Militia. So kind of neat. Bandit Fort. When scoring, -2 for each silver and each gold you have. Okay, so there's some anti-synergy with this and all those other cards that want you to gain silver. -2. That's so many minus VP. That means like, well, if it's a big money board, you're still. I mean, if you both have to get silvers and gold, then you're both going to be even, right? It's in the non-mirror when it's like, let's say, big money versus engine. Big money's just never going to compete anymore. Like kills, like so basically you always go engine. You still want that first silver or 2, I think, even in Bandit 4 games if you need to hit 5. Hopefully you can trash your silvers. If you can't, you might still need it, even if it's -2. It hurts. It makes it makes your buying of silver and gold more like thoughtful. It's a nice effect. It's a nice small effect on the game. Usually you can get around not getting silvers and golds, and when you do need some, it's how many is some, right? Do you get 2 or do you get 3? Big difference if you get 2 or 3. So there's that decision making aspect that adds. Yeah. Well, when we're talking about landmarks, it's not so much about when do you use it, right? It's just an effect, right, in the game. So it's usually hitting all players. It's just changing the way you're thinking of. So it's hard to say, oh, is a basilica strong? I don't know. Does it even have? Is there even a concept of such a thing? In a few of them, maybe. But okay, let's just read basilica what it actually does. When you buy a card, if you have 2 or more left, take 2 from here. Put 6 here per player. Okay, so because Wine Merchant was such a hit, everyone loved Wine Merchant, right? So let's make like the benefit of that leaving 2 extra better, or maybe not better. Like it's good, but man, when I want my wine merchant back, I really want my wine merchant back. I mean, I bought that plus buy card for the plus buy. Okay, enough joking around. Yeah, so if you have a end, so that means wait a minute. When you buy a card, if you have 2 or more left, so if I have 12 and I buy 5 estates, I can take from this 5 times because it doesn't say once per turn. It says when you buy a card, if you have 2 or more left, you just take 2, and you can do this more than once, and it's up to 6 per player. So if you're buying a lot of cheap cards for a lot of money, you just get a huge amount of points out of nowhere. Insane effects. Makes plus buy so good. If there's no plus buy, then when you buy province for 10, you get to celebrate and get an extra 2. That's good too. But if you get plus buys and you want to buy even copper, right? You buy a bunch of copper, and you had 2 money, and it's kind of like a goons thing for a limited amount of time. Yeah, kind of like a limited use goons in that sense. But not all the time. You have to prepare for it. You have to have 2 more left. You have to yeah, kind of crazy. So that means that copper becomes becomes with free PP if you get it especially on the last turn. Yeah, you better you have to really think about how your buy orders when we're dealing with Basilica. Watch out for this one. Yeah, so if you have to buy a 2 and a 5 cost, buy the 2 cost first, then use Basilica. He doesn't kill your money or anything. You buy the 2 cost first, then you buy your 5 baths. When you end your turn without gaining a card, take 2 from here. Yeah, because when you want to take a break and say, I don't want to buy cards, without having gained a card, wow, you really have to have done nothing except buy an event or something, or put a coin token. I don't know what. Take 2 from here. Takes even stricter than Hermit Madman. I'm just gonna drink some water here. I specifically brought water here to help with this cast, but I didn't drink a drop of it yet. Okay. Good on mission turns. Outpost becomes like you can use it with like outposts or something. You can do a few things. Sometimes you just have a dud hand and you just take this. Helps. It's a landmark, right? It just adds an effect to the game. That's the idea, right? Okay. Colonnade. Not to be confused with lemonade. When you buy an action card, if you have a copy of it in play, take 2 from here. Okay. When you buy an action card, every time you buy a duplicate, you get money. So, good if there are cantrips, I suppose. Load up on those treasuries, guys. They come with free money, right? Actually, that's particularly good with treasury. Because treasury, I just threw treasury out there, but treasury stays in, it keeps staying in play. You keep getting it back on your turn, so every time you buy it, if you're going for a treasury strategy, you just get a lot of points for that. It's kind of interesting. If you're doing like a smithy village thing, and you buy more village smithies, you get some extra points. Obviously it encourages the engine more. Okay, moving on. Defile the shrine. When you gain an action card, when you gain an action, move +1. I assume that's an action. Oh, is this action or action card? Is this when I play a village? Does this work? I guess it means action card. I mean, this is action card, right? Well, having gained a card. I don't understand the wording here. When you gain an when you gain an action, move one from its pile to this. Okay, from its pile. Okay, so I guess it's obvious what it's referring to. Move one from its pile to this. When you buy a curse, take the thing from this. Put 2 on each non-gathering action supply card. Okay, so it specifies the gathering. So here's the meaning for the gathering thing. So if you're doing like a fairgrounds thing, you know, you're getting a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Then you buy your curse, and you take all the stuff, but then your opponent can do it too. Yeah, it changes the game up, obviously. You have to actually buy the curse, yeah. So it really has to be opportunistic. You have to say it's really going to be, it depends on the board and the situation kind of thing. But overall, if you do have lots of buys, you get a bunch of stuff and then get a curse and get some extra VP. There's a lot of this gain extra VP, like way more than prosperity. And it's hard to gauge just how powerful these VP tokens are when we've only been exposed to it in 3 cards. And it's not so much, is the VP itself strong, or is that card strong? Is it that it's always good to get VP tokens, or are they too slow depending on how slow the card is? It's that kind of thing. So each of these is its own card. So I don't know. This is just gonna play out as it plays out. Not too much else to say. Labyrinth, yeah, okay. When you get a second card in one of your turns, take 2 from here. Okay. So you want to be able to gain 2 cards early. So makes like workshops better. When you gain a second card in one of your turns. Okay, second card specifically. So yeah, so you just want to gain ramp up faster. You want to gain more than 1 card, obviously, and eventually past the early games this is going to run out. But yeah, makes certain classes of cards more interesting. The gainers specifically. Mountain Pass. When you are the first player to gain a province after that turn, each player bids once up to bet 40, ending with you. Highest bidder gets +8 and takes the debt they bid. Okay, so this is that bidding card, right? We talked about the bidding and saying I didn't like people didn't like bidding in games, and there was gonna be maybe it's gonna be a different kind of bidding in Dominion. Well, I mean this looks like typical bidding, right? You just say I want this amount of points for this much, and it doesn't hurt the player that gained the province. Each player bids once up to 40, ending with you. So you can always a high bidder gets and takes it. What if 2 people bid 40? Maybe I guess if the first guy bids 40, he just takes the +8 and takes the 40 debt. I guess that's how. Oh, after that turn. So at the end of that turn. Okay. What if that relevant for rules? You bid last. The person gains the problem bid last, so they have an advantage. They could always bid 1 extra. So then it forces, like, let's say third player, if there's in a 4-player game, to want to bid high to make sure that the other 4th player doesn't get the province. And if they don't get the province, then they're stuck with a whole bunch of debt. I guess that's how bidding works, right? You have to be prepared to deal with any debt you owe. At least it happens once in a game, so like I guess it's political, but you know you can't. It's 1 card, 1 time. It can't be too bad. I mean, it's nowhere. I'm sure the people are still gonna hate like cultists a lot more. And for the people that like this kind of stuff, you know, I get a kick out of it sometimes. And you know, Monopoly, the auctions, it's kind of fun. Museum, when scoring 2 per differently named card you have. So it's fairgrounds, right? Everyone gets one super fairgrounds, and yeah, and who doesn't want more fairgrounds? I mean, it's great to have that theme return in the landmark in a more like subdued way. Everyone's gonna have some number of cards, but you're getting a little bit more. You get like a little benefit. Like if you get that extra curse and the other guy doesn't, you get +2. You don't get like plus like 10 because you won the fairground split 5-3, right? It's more subdued, but it's still fun. Yeah, is museum strong, guys? How often do you go for museum? I don't. It doesn't really mean anything with this type of landmark. I don't think, but it sounds pretty fun. Obelisk. Yeah, it looks like an obelisk. Okay, when scoring 2 per card you have from the chosen pile. Set up, choose a random action supply pile. So you have this like revered 1 card picked randomly from the supply, and it comes with +2 coin. It comes with +2 VP. Doesn't make it a victory card, but just makes it +2 VP. So it's just, yeah, what you put it on, like a mint or scout or something. Yeah, well, this is, so it makes you want to pile drive a specific card. Maybe it's a terminal. That makes it more interesting. If it's just peddler, that's not so good. But for the game overall, if it's tournament, if it's actually tournament's interesting. They're not so good when. Yeah, so it depends. Really depends. Like, is this gonna? It changes the game, and it changes the game what action supply pile it goes on to. If it goes on, let's say a terminal, you want more villages, maybe. If it's a good terminal, you want it anyway. Like, what's the terminal you wanted anyway? Something that draws, probably. Game, it's something like you'll decide what you have to do when you see it. It's Orchard. When scoring 4 per differently named action card, you have 3 or more copies of. You differently name that. Okay, so if you have duplicates of a lot of different cards, then you get good. Okay, so this card I really like. This is like Fairgrounds, but now it's like smart. You have to get 3 copies of it, and they have to be different. So you have to want to get 3 copies of multiple cards. So you want like a nice engine that uses a little bit of everything. Well, it's not going to be never. There's going to be some cards you just don't get 3 copies of, but there's going to be sometimes you get you get, let's say, 3 bazaars, and you get 3 ports, and you get 3 journeymans. I don't know what, and you get like 3 copies of the payload card, maybe 3 giants. Yeah, so you're playing it smarter, and your opponent knows exactly that you're capable of this. So you can't just say, okay, well, he has 2 copies of the card. He's probably not gonna get, like, you could predict when he's probably gonna go for the 3rd one. You have to be watch out. So it gives that element of, you kind of see what your opponent's trying to do. You have some time to react to it, and it puts more finesse on the game. Let's say Museum. I kind of really like this one. Palace, when scoring, well, it doesn't cost 8. I didn't check. Any of the cards costed 8. There was something that cost 8. It was only Debt 8. And that was Overlord and a few other cards. Okay, so when scoring 3 victory points per set you have of copper, silver, gold. Okay. Yeah. Nice. So, big money obviously goes well here. But if you get, let's say, 2 silvers and then 2 golds, and you take 2 coppers, it's also nice. It makes money a little bit more interesting. I think that's cool. Yeah. Also, you'd rather go for like a kind of like an engine that has like money as payload than, let's say, some action as payload, maybe a bit more often, because 3 points is nothing to sneer at, obviously. And if you get and I guess it matters for last turn plays. Let's say, oh, I'm gonna stonemason my last province for 2 golds or something, and not a province, but I don't know, something you could do, or you're 4 costs into the extra silvers when you have golds. You got to be a bit smart. Be careful how you play this. And then tower, and I think it's gonna be like 2 more after this. So tower, when scoring 1 point per non-victory card you have from an empty supply pile. So like if things run out based on city games or whatever, or just things pile out as they inevitably do, you get people get points for that. Whoever won the split gets more points. So it means if you know there's a pile that's going to be contested, like really get on that split, because not only is it going to be you won the split, it's you won the tower split, and you're going to be rewarded for winning the split on something. That's major. So when you see tower and you see it looks like an engine, get on your game, get those engine components, more so than like trying to green early or something. This is giving you permission to like empty piles, and be careful, because then you can end up with 3 pile situations from your opponent. If you do end up using a 3 pile, you get a sneaky 3 pile. This rewards you, like you buy like the last 5 pearl divers or something out of nowhere. This will reward you. So my kind of card. I like piling out unexpectedly. Alright. Triumphal Arch. When scoring 3 per copy you have of the second most common action card amongst your cards. If it's tie count either. Second most common action card. So you have to count your action cards, and then the one you have the second of most common of, you get 3 points. Okay, so if you got village smithy and you had 7 smithies and 6 villages, those villages are worth huge amount of points. So, okay, so you want a very like 2-3 card engine with this card, plain and simple. Or you want like a nice engine but relies mostly on, let's say, a key combo. Let's say Menagerie and Hamlet or something, or Menagerie and Artificer, like some kind of like nice 2-card thing that you abuse a lot, and then this will reward you for that. That's, those situations come up a lot. So, or even with, let's say, like Mystic or something, you get a lot of treasuries, right? And then whatever you got besides treasury, or Conspirator, all those like really good like self synergy cards, or those very simple synergies, the very simple 2 or 3 card synergies, is so good with Triumphal Arch. Look out for those. While with scoring, here there's a minus 1 per card you have after the first 15. Okay, so it's like anti-gardens, and if it's a slog and the person with the curse like is cursing you bad. Okay, it's usually not going to be a big curse split. But if, let's say, it's the mid game and they suddenly get like a sea hag, it's like mid game when people have their engines, it's like, hey, the guy can actually afford a sea hag on 4, and then he starts attacking you with the sea hag, and then you start falling behind points, and then you have these extra cards, and then your opponent won because they got that mid game cursor and you didn't. So makes mid game you have to watch out for mid game cursors here. Slogs, everyone's gonna be hurt equally, but when it looks like, when you think it's going to be some sort of engine and you think you have it down, but then your opponent pulls like a fast one, it starts trashing your cards or cursing you, and you start having to build silvers or something to start catching up. You're just falling down a slippery slope. You're just going to get worse and worse and worse. So you have to be on your guard with unexpected ways that you might be forced to take way more than like the number of cards than you initially thought. Let's watch out. And we're done, guys. That's Archive. We saw it again. Yeah, that was fun. Thanks for listening. Like the 3 or 4 of you out there. Thank you so much for listening. And my thoughts. if you have thoughts too, voice them out either in your own stream or on the forum or something. It'll be interesting to hear. I actually don't know if I'm gonna get Empires. Probably not very soon at all because I don't have people to play with. Really, it seems like it's not as ridiculous as I thought it would be. I feel like most of the ridiculous, crazy cards were revealed first, and this actual stream of these cards felt so relaxing. It felt so nice. Every card felt like, okay, some cards felt like pretty cool and interesting, but they felt balanced. They felt like we could do something with them. They felt like some interesting ideas. Nothing like Vila. We didn't see anything like Vila. Anything like Delve was the most crazy and honestly donate. But yeah, some nice balanced cards here. Sorry about the quality, but this is you can. It's great that you can read the card text. So yeah.